Hi, I'm Dongxiang. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to reveal unique perspectives. In this episode, we explore the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin and the military parade in Beijing's Tiananmen Square. Events that project China's ambition to lead a coalition against the United States and redefine the global order. Yet these displays reveal profound vulnerabilities, both domestic and regional, that challenge Xi Jinping's vision. His goal of forging a cohesive anti-Western alliance remains vague, constrained by internal economic and social crisis and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's lack of unity, particularly as North Korea assumes a larger role following U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear capabilities. An unexpected moment during the parade, captured by a live microphone, drew global attention, highlighting personal ambitions amid strategic posturing. Today, I will integrate recent developments, historical context, and strategic insights to illuminate the tension between China's aspirations and its limitations. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), established in 2001 by China, Russia, and Central Asian nations, was initially designed to resolve border disputes and counter terrorism, separatism, and extremism. Over time, it has expanded into a significant Eurasia bloc, incorporating India, Pakistan, Iran, Belarus, and others, representing nearly 40% of the global population and a substantial share of economic output. The Tianjin summit, held from August 31st to September 1st, was attended by leaders such as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, and representatives from other member states, underscoring the SCO's evolving role in regional security and economic coordination. Notably, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un did not attend the summit, as North Korea is not a member or observer state. At its core, Xi Jinping proposed a global governance initiative, a broadly articulated plan to foster a multipolar world order less dominated by the United States. This initiative positions China as the architect of an anti-Western coalition, capitalizing on perceived fractures in U.S.-led alliances and global uncertainties. The Beijing military parade that followed on September 3, 2025 was a calculated demonstration of China's military prowess. Tiananmen Square, filled with flag-waving clouds, showcased intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching the U.S. mainland, alongside advanced stealth fighters and other weaponry. Xi, dressed in a Mao-style tunic, stood alongside Putin and Kim Jong-un, symbolizing solidarity among nuclear powers facing Western sanctions. Russia remains entrenched in its conflict with Ukraine, while North Korea persists with its nuclear provocations. Iran, a recent SCO member, was represented by President Pezeshkian at the summit, but its regional influence has been significantly weakened by U.S. and Israel airstrikes on its nuclear facilities in June 2025, which destroyed key infrastructure and killed prominent scientists. In this vacuum, North Korea has emerged as a more prominent partner, condemning the strikes and deepening military ties with Russia, effectively stepping into a heightened role within this so-called axis of upheaval. Kim Jong-un arrived in Beijing by armored train in September 2nd, specifically for the parade, marking his first major multilateral appearance since taking power and his first meeting with Xi in over 6 years. This shift underscores the precarious and the reactive nature of Xi's coalition-building efforts within the SCO, raising questions about his ability to shape even this regional framework, let alone the global order. The parade's strategic messaging was overshadowed by an unintended incident that captured global attention, as Xi Putin and Kim approached the viewing platform. A live broadcast by China's state broadcaster CCTV inadvertently recorded a private conversation. Through interpreters, Putin discussed advancements in biotechnology, suggesting that human organs can be continuously transplanted, enabling people to remain youthful and potentially achieve immortality. Xi responded, noting predictions that humans may live to 150 years within this century. Kim, present but possibly not fully engaged in the translated exchange, appeared to observe with interest. This moment, widely disseminated by international media outlets including the BBC, Reuters, and the New York Times, drew more focus than the military display itself. The conversation reflecting the leader's preoccupation with personal longevity, Xi having abolished the presidential term limits, Putin extending his rule to 2036, and Kim maintaining absolute control, sparked global discussions about authoritarianism, biotechnology, and ethic concerns, particularly given China's controversial history with organ transplants and Russia's investments in anti-aging research. In China, where information is tightly controlled, domestic coverage was minimal, but internationally, the incident humanized the leaders while highlighting their ambitions for enduring power, serving as a metaphor for their broader quest to sustain influence amid uncertainty. China's drive to lead an anti-U.S. coalition is rooted in its perception of American containment strategies, including trade restrictions, sanctions, and strengthened alliances like AUKUS and the Quad. Xi views global disarray, fractures in Western alliances, economic uncertainties, and U.S. domestic instability as an opportunity to position China as a global leader. The Tianjin Summit and the Beijing Parade were designed to project this leadership, demonstrating China's ability to rally partners while showcasing military capabilities that could challenge U.S. forces, particularly in potential flashpoints like the Taiwan Strait. Yet, these ambitions are profoundly undermined by domestic vulnerabilities that cast doubt on Xi's capacity to achieve his global vision. China's domestic challenges are multifaceted and severe, threatening the stability required for international leadership. Youth unemployment exceeds 20%, with millions of university graduates unable to secure stable employment. This lack of opportunity fosters widespread disillusionment among the generation expected to drive economic growth, creating a sense of alienation that undermines the social contract. The real estate sector, once a cornerstone of China's economy, is in a state of collapse, with major developers like Evergrande facing bankruptcy and leaving behind unfinished projects that have eroded public trust. Local governments, burdened by an estimated $13 trillion in debt, struggle to fund essential services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure, exacerbating economic stagnation. These pressures have fueled a social phenomenon known as a lying flat, where young people disengage from social expectations, rejecting the relentless pursuit of success in a system perceived as increasingly inequitable. This disengagement contrasts sharply with the orchestrated patriotism of the Tiananmen parade, highlighting systemic vulnerabilities that undermine Xi's legitimacy. A prolonged conflict, such as one over Taiwan, would strain China's already fragile economic and social fabric, potentially sparking unrest and challenging the Communist Party's grip on power. The government's response has been to tighten control, with increased censorship and surveillance, but these measures risk further alienating the population, creating a vicious cycle of distrust and disengagement. If Xi cannot stabilize these domestic issues, his ability to manage the complexities of global leadership, coordinating a coalition of diverse and often volatile partners, remains in serious doubt. Regionally, Xi's ambition to reshape the global order is constrained by his inability to unify the SCO into a cohesive force. The organization lacks the institutional coherence of Western alliances like NATO, with members pursuing divergent and sometimes conflicting interests. India's participation in the SCO, for instance, reflects strategic hedging rather than alignment with China. Ongoing border disputes in the Himalayas, competition of transboundary water resources from rivers like the Brahmaputra, and China's close relationship with Pakistan create persistent tensions that hinder deeper cooperation. Any progress in Sino-Indian relations is likely to be incremental, undermining Xi's vision of a unified anti-Western front. Iran's diminished role following U.S. and Israel airstrikes on its nuclear facility in June 2025, destroying key infrastructure and killing scientists, has forced China to rely more heavily on North Korea as a strategic partner. North Korea has seized this opportunity, deploying 10,000 to 12,000 troops to support Russia in Ukraine's Kursk region by late 2024, gaining battlefield experience that could enhance its military capabilities and indirectly benefit China in future regional conflicts, such as in the Taiwan Strait or South China Sea. However, North Korea's unpredictability and subordinate role introduce significant risks. Its provocative actions such as missile tests or troop deployments could destabilize the Korean peninsula, drawing China into unwanted conflicts and complicating its strategic priorities. This substitution of North Korea for a diminished Iran underscores the reactive rather than proactive nature of Xi's coalition building, revealing the SCO's fragility as a platform for coordinated leadership. Economically, China's partnerships expose additional vulnerabilities that constrain its global ambitions. Trade with Russia, valued at $245 billion last year, provides critical energy resources such as oil and gas, but has declined by 8% this year due to Western sanctions, reflecting the economic cost of aligning with a sanctioned state. China supplies dual-use components including microelectronics, semiconductors, and machine tools that sustain Russia's war effort, enabling the production of drones, missiles, and tanks. This support, however, has strained relations with Europe, a far more vital partner for advanced technology, machinery, and investment. In Beijing's commercial districts, once bustling with Russian shoppers, businesses report significant declines, with merchants noting reduced purchasing power due to sanctions' impact on Russia's economy. For example, shopping centers like Ritan, previously popular with Russian tourists, now stand nearly deserted, with vendors struggling to sell goods ranging from leather jackets to specialty teas. North Korea's economic ties with China are negligible, offering little material benefit and serving primarily as a strategic tool. Pyongyang's provocative actions risk escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula, potentially drawing China into regional conflicts that divert resources from its global ambitions. These economic and strategic dependencies underscores the high cost of Xi's alignment with controversial partners, limiting his ability to project consistent power on the global stage. Historically, Xi's agenda is anchored in overcoming China's century of humiliation when colonial powers, including Russia, annexed vast territories during the Qing dynasty. The Russian Far East, encompassing areas like Vladivostok, was ceded to Russia in the 19th century, a loss that remains a sensitive topic in Chinese historical memory. While current rhetoric emphasizes forward-looking cooperation, these grievances persist, adding complexity to the China-Russia partnership. A Russian victory in Ukraine could reduce Moscow's reliance on Beijing, potentially leading to a realignment with the West under a future U.S. administration, which would leave China diplomatically isolated. Such a shift would expose the fragility of Xi's coalition, as Russia's strategic priorities may diverge from China's over time. The Global Governance Initiative itself remains a vague aspiration, lacking concrete mechanisms for resolving conflicts or aligning the SCO's diverse membership. The organization's response to internal disputes such as India-China tensions or external pressures like the U.S. strikes on Iran has been muted, suggesting it functions more like a forum for dialogue than a unified strategic bloc. North Korea's elevated role, while opportunistic, introduces volatility as its actions are difficult to control and could dispute China's regional stability goals. The SCO's inability to mediate such shifts or provide a robust framework for cooperation highlights its limitations as a vehicle for Xi's global vision. In conclusion, the Tianjin Summit and the Tiananmen Parade project China's ambition to challenge U.S. hegemony, but they also expose profound vulnerabilities. Xi's inability to unify the SCO, evidenced by Iran's diminished role and North Korea's unpredictable ascent, mirrors his struggles to address domestic economic stagnation and social disengagement. The hot mic incident, revealing a fascination with personal longevity, serves as a poignant metaphor for Xi's broader quest to sustain power amid uncertainty. For the United States, Taiwan, and Europe, these developments underscore the need for strategic engagement with a power that is ambitious yet constrained by internal and regional limitations. China's vision for a new global order is bold, but its domestic crisis and SCO's fragility suggest that Xi's leadership may falter before it can fully reshape the international landscape. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.